We're live.
It's so crazy. It's not Friday. We're here on Wednesdays now.
We're here on Wednesday. Hello, everybody, or I don't know how many people are watching, but welcome to our Wednesday edition of Labs Advisors Live, which is now going to be the new normal, as I don't like doing things on Friday afternoon. So, yeah, that's that. Welcome. I am here with my lovely co-host, Kimber Walton. Hi, Kimber.
Hello.
How you doing?
I went British for a minute. There you go.
Yeah. We're already off to a great start today. Remind everybody who you are and where you are from.
So I'm Kimber Walton. I am a real estate agent out of Salt Lake City, Utah. I serve mainly Salt Lake County, and I am also Director of Strategic Marketing and Technology for our 3 Salt Lake County offices.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's who I am.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Oh, I'm a Labs advisor, and I give back to the community.
Well, as long as she's interrupting, Abby Lacey, why don't
That's
you?
That's why I'm here. I'm here
introduce yourself.
To just throw in comments. I'm Abby. I am in Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. I am also a Labs advisor, but I am also part of KWI in the KWEN division for operations.
KWEN.
Awesome.
Some of us pronounce it the other way, and we're scolded.
It's KWEN. It's official. You can't.
Yeah.
Can't go far from that. Sorry.
And we had somebody else.
Fun fact: Jordan doesn't like me.
Jordan,
you know what? This is the universe saying that I should introduce him.
I feel like maybe he didn't like me not introducing him before Abby, so like he just was like, "I'm out. I'm done."
So if he comes back, Jordan Larsen is the regional tech trainer. Oh, I was going to introduce you, Jordan.
Uh-oh, he's a little shaky.
Okay. Nope. Okay. Am I taking over?
Yeah, take over.
Jordan is the regional tech trainer for Utah region. He's also an agent on the Red Sign team. The Red Sign team is the largest team in Utah County. Am I correct? As far as production, you guys are a pretty big deal out there.
Are we talking about me? I think I'm back finally.
I'm talking about you and Red Sign team. You guys are pretty.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking about, but yeah.
I'm just introducing you. You've been introduced. And
introductions have happened. What are we talking about today?
Glad I could be there for it.
Well, it might just be me talking about it.
All right. Okay. So while Jordan reconnects, because he is now once again disconnecting, Kimber.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about the importance or long-term follow-up, something long-term, which is so super important. I was actually having a conversation with somebody today about the 36 touch and why it's so important and how to implement it. With them, it was about how to use command, but I think we're just going to talk some strategies with you here today. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, and I'm sharing my screen, so we're good to go.
You're sharing your screen. There we go.
Can you see it?
We can. Yeah, it's up on the screen.
Sweet. Okay. So, quick story. I always come with a story. So be annoyed or not be annoyed. That's how I am. So when I started working for one of the offices in Salt Lake County, Josh Stern, he's the founder of the team that was the largest producing team in Utah last year. He was the first one to reach out to me and say, I'm so glad that you're working with my office now, and I would love to sit down with you and talk about how we can best help our agents. And it was a good meeting. It was a little bit more of also qualifying me to make sure I understood the millionaire real estate agent. And it was a fun meeting. I passed because this exists. So that was a little bit stressful. But he wanted to make sure that I understood what the process is for following up with a lead once they come into your funnel. So we went through what an 8x8 is and how you need to follow up or put them in a 36 touch after you've cemented the relationship, all that good stuff. But one of the key focuses and the reason why he came to me was he said, our agents, they're lead generating, or we sure hope they are. And they're spending a lot of money on generating leads, and yet their follow-up is not happening.
Yeah.
So really, even if they are generating the lead, following up is not a thing. And so he sent me some data to really like show me what he was talking about. So this is Harvard Business Review. And he actually taught this class in both of our offices in the last 60 days. So it's a little bit fresh for me as far as him presenting on it. But the reason why he brought this up and why it's so important is really the makeup of a lead. So first thing is that on Wednesdays and Thursdays are the best day to make contact with any lead, okay? Or to qualify the lead. And then so he would ask the audience, like, when are you guys focusing on Wednesdays and Thursdays being a high volume day for follow-up? And no one raised their hand, okay? This was actually new information to me. And then the second piece was about dials and about when to contact them. So you guys will see there's a high peak at 8 a.m. There's a high peak at 4 p.m. I'll just speak for my market centers because I am the early bird and I usually still am there at 4. The office is not full of agents at 8 a.m. and it's not full of agents at 4 p.m. What would you guys say?
Wait, Kimber, you expect realtors to work at 8 in the morning or 4 in the afternoon?
Yeah, I do.
That's like,
No, I think you're absolutely right. Like that, those are the times that we see the quietest in the offices, and it's an interesting correlation.
Yes. So again, Harvard Business Review. Best times to call, actually probably starting at 3:30 and then at 8 a.m. So Josh, a great example. The reason why all of this is going to benefit you guys in the long run when you're downloading these smart plans that we're going to talk about is that he is somebody that has built, he is a millionaire real estate agent by definition, meaning he's a 7th level agent and he is no longer actively in the business. He is out of the business, meaning he goes and lives in Alaska for 6 months and still makes millions of dollars a year.
He is kind of the opposite of most people, where most people run from the cold to the warm. He ran to the cold.
He ran to the cold. Like he's done a team meeting from Alaska and I'm like, why? But there we go. He loves it. And he gets that full leverage because he did this stuff, right? He did the discipline. He did the calls. And he's like, I was the one. I started coming in at 8 and my goal is 25 contacts a day. And he's like, not dials, like contacts.
yeah.
And he said, I just came in at 8 because that was the time I had less disruption. And, you know, it also ended up being a really good time to make contact with people. So response time, there's just a couple more slides that are kind of going to tee up like, here's what we're currently doing and here's how we're going to pivot a little bit. So response time, this is crazy, but it's actually increased from this time frame. So it says 5 minutes versus 10 minutes is a 400% decrease in you qualifying leads.
So we're talking about a fresh lead comes in. Are we talking internet leads here, or what is our
yeah,
qualify what you mean by that?
Yeah, specifically internet lead.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said this.
I suppose if the first 10 minutes of somebody walking around an open house, you completely ignore them, you probably would also have a decrease in 400%. But
yeah, speed to lead has So he said, he's like, do you want to know what the actual like now time is? Like it's less than 5 minutes. I'm going to give you guys a second. What do you think it is? And you know, people guessed, and he's like, it's 10 seconds now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think about society, right? Like as a society, we used to watch 45 minutes of TV, then we moved to 30-minute episodes, and then now TikTok has taught us like 60 seconds max. That's the most you get my attention for.
Yep. Yeah. So the moment an interested lead comes in and completes something from when someone contacts them. And he's like, we're going to talk about awesome plans. We're going to talk about awesome follow-up, all that good stuff. He's like, one suggestion I would give every realtor is to own an Apple Watch or own a watch that like dings, right? When you get some kind of a lead.
No, Apple Watch was the correct
I
thing to say.
don't know. I've been kind
We're not gonna clarify that for anybody who might not use Apple.
Wow. I've been put on blast by a few agents at my office this week about Android, and
You know what?
Yes.
Just ignore their texts, Kimber.
Well, I actually did that for a solid week. The operating system did that for me. So I apologize to everybody, but I got back to everybody. Okay. So persistence. So these next two slides, I hope you learned something else other than these last two slides, but this is crazy. Okay. So making attempts of contact. I want you guys to hone in on that top graph that says a chance of making a contact. Basically, what this says is that 40% of agents, so I guess the better way to put it is 30% of leads are never contacted at all. Like nothing. And this next slide will kind of go into this. I'm just going to skip over a couple. That 80% of conversion basically happens after the 5th attempt of contact. And that's where 80% of sales are happening. And so Josh brought up a really simplified question. And you guys, whether you're an agent or even like a market center leader, if you're meeting with an agent, having this conversation with them is very valuable, because when you're talking about lead conversion, lead follow-up, and you say, how many times, or do you contact people more than 5 times? In our room full of 80 people, there was not one person that said they contacted a lead more than 5 times as a system.
Right. And I'm just reading this a little bit. So we're not talking about like actually physically talking to them 5 times. We're actually talking about we have not made a connection with them 5 times in a row. And then the 5th through and I'm seeing here 12th time, we have finally made. So you might be making a lot of these calls and no one's actually, you're talking to air, right? You're leaving a lot of voicemails or not, depending on your strategy.
And then you're just like, oh, they didn't answer. Dang it. I hear that all the time, specifically in command with Facebook ads, is, oh, I called them, they didn't answer. It wasn't, they're not really good leads. Like, what are all the, right? What are all the reasons? And another like qualifier for, because me and Jordan, very familiar with this agent and with this team. Other people outside of the state, maybe like Josh who? He specifically was coached for, I don't know how many years, but multiple years by Tony DeCello. So Josh has got the KW system down. And, that's kind of where this is coming from as far as talking about not even qualifying leads, but following up. Did anyone? Oh, I thought I heard somebody talk. No, we good? Okay. And then another thing, long-term follow-up. So a NAR statistic is 18 months, right? From the time that a buyer is looking online for a home to the time that they purchase, on average, can be 18 months. And so can we say that so the first question would be, how many buyers are looking for homes online? What would be your answer to that? 100%, maybe, or 99%?
Yeah, I would say definitely everyone.
Right?
Except for maybe a couple newspaper ads or something like that.
Yeah, everybody's got their phone. Everybody's looking on some app, some home search thing, right? So that's a thing. And beyond 6 months is where our lead follow-up is going to go through the roof. 67% increase. Again, probably quitting too soon. So we already know we're not making enough calls. We also know that long term, we don't even have a strategy beyond maybe the few even rings, right? Let's say we are getting to 5 calls. Do we have a plan for the next 6 months? Do we have a plan for the next year? That's a good question.
Well, what's interesting on that, Kimber, is think about it. Do you even remember what you were doing 18 months ago?
Yes, I was pregnant, but it took me a second.
So that's where I think it's so vital to have a system built around this, because if you're just expecting yourself and just your entrepreneurial ways to follow up with a lead for 18 months, like that's a system that's probably not going to work.
And no agent, if you say that this isn't you, then I don't believe you. Now business is now business. It's attractive. It's there. It's somebody wanting to go look at 2 houses and they're in $1 million price range. Like that is now business. That's what's taking my time. That's probably why Jordan's in the car right now, right? Like there's real estate to be had. And
Well,
that's
what does now business cost you if you don't want to spend the time to do this? And what does it cost you, right? And typically now business is 25% referral, or if you're using something like one of those companies, like 37, 38% referral, $1,000 a lead, right? If you're going to buy now business instead of nurturing now business, you're going to pay through the nose for it.
Well, and a 38% referral fee, like think about that. On the average commission, that's like $5,000-$6,000 per deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And these companies are getting it, right? And agents are paying it because they don't want to do the work.
correct. Okay. So now we're going to solve some problems. You ready? So the weird thing is usually when we talk about like knowing for knowing's sake, it's just kind of like, okay, cool. Like, have you ever gone to a training and then been like, okay, cool. Look, I learned a lot about how leads don't convert till later. What am I going to do about it? What you're going to do about it is you're going to download some smart plans to start off.
Can I just pause and say how much I love that Kimber is so committed to making this the easy button for agents? Like, I don't know if anyone else in a company of over 180,000 associates nationwide, I don't know of anyone else that's taking the time to write these smart plans and make it such an easy button that the agents like me who aren't going to go write the smart plan, I can just download it and hit play.
Yes. Thank you.
So,
I came here for compliments, so put them in the chat. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean, my main driver just personally as not just I'm an agent here and I'm employed by Keller Williams. I'm driven by solving problems. And what we just went through was a bunch of slides as far as this is a problem we have in our industry as far as is it a lead conversion problem or is it a lead follow-up problem, right? Mm-hmm. How I don't know this statistic, but it would be fun to know, like, what are the millions of dollars spent on lead generation versus all of the money lost on we didn't even call them. 30% we don't even talk to them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip over this just so you guys will kind of loop back, but the long-term follow-up plan that's available on the Smart Plan library. So I always put my name in the plan just so it's easy to find. The description is on there as well, but there's 4 parts. It's just how it's designed in Command when I go publish it. That's why it's 4 parts. The duration of this plan is 687 days. And biggest takeaway for most agents is that you don't need to edit anything.
Yeah.
And it's also this is nothing from my mind. I wish it was. I'd probably be on the path of a millionaire real estate agent quicker if it was. But this is the proven systems and models of a team that follows MRE models. And that is huge because we as agents, we go to a lot of seminars. Some are KW, some aren't. We get all this great information, and our implementation side of everything is usually the side that we spend the least time on. So one of the problems I'm trying to solve is that this will allow that to be a little bit easier for you. So when we go into the Smart Plan library, you're going to go to part 1, you click Add Smart Plan, you go click Download 3 times. It downloads all of the plans. And then when you go put somebody on it, day 1, then those plans are going to feed into each other. So you only have to add it once and they're on that plan. Does anyone have any questions about that up to this point?
Yeah, and anybody who is watching, please feel free to put those comments in chat. I want to highlight this comment, which is if you're not following up, you're just spending money. And that is a key takeaway for today. Like how many agents, Kimber, do you teach where they're spending the money on the Facebook ads and then complaining that they're not high quality and not doing what they need to do to actually convert them. And they're out of the business, right? How long does it take? 6 months, right? Like, what would you say for somebody who's willing to spend the money but not do the work?
Jordan, do you want to?
I mean, to me, that just doesn't make sense at all. Like, spending money and not doing the activity to actually convert it. Why would I buy a movie ticket and not go watch the movie? And then keep buying movie tickets every week?
Good point.
Yeah.
Like,
and I do. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
I was just saying, it just does not make sense. But I think it's often that agents, we like to say that a lead is a good lead or a bad lead, depending on how close they are to transacting business, rather than their ability to, at some point in time, actually transact business with us.
Yeah. And Kimber, I love that you call them have not mets, and yet we're really talking about internet leads here. And one of the things I always point out, what do you see conversion for internet leads in your area? What are your numbers?
Oh gosh, probably less than 10%. Do you know those numbers for Red Sign?
Like 2.5%, maybe 3%.
Yeah. What we're hearing is 1 to 3% is what I hear generally from people. 1 to 3%. That averages 50 to 1, right? What is 50 to 1? 50 to 1 is the conversion rate for have not mets in the MREA. We are seeing the same conversion on internet leads as we saw when the MREA was written as far as not mets go. It's the same thing. It's a different medium, but it's the same thing.
Well, and that's what I think it's important to remember is, like, we go to all these trainings and we're learning all these cool new things, and it all comes back to the same fundamental models. And I laugh, if anyone was at Family Reunion, you probably saw the t-shirt Mark King designed that said, yes, the MREA is still bleeping relevant. Like, the business hasn't changed. The models are the same. It's just a different color paint on the same house.
Yeah.
Definitely. So this is just some detail on the plan. So if I were to go and activate this plan for this lead, the example of the first 10 days. So you guys remember that first slide I had, like a 10 days of pain smart plan that's available, and it's available by itself. So this long-term plan is basically a 10 days of pain, which is 10 touches in 10 days. It's very intentional. It's meant to be, I don't like the word aggressive, but it's meant to be more of that. What's another word for aggressive?
Aggressive works.
Aggressive is great. Yeah. And then it funnels into more of that. I'm cementing the relationship, the 8x8. And then long term, right? That 6 months, over 6 months, we still need to be around. Then it starts to trickle off where they may be getting emails like every 45 days.
Yeah.
So what I've screenshotted here is an example of a task that would show up in command. So this is actually for this plan specifically. So I would just get a reminder that said, hey, you need to call Kimber. So when I go click on that, because maybe I have a lot of leads, I don't know who Kimber is, right? I'm going to go click on this and I'm going to have a task description and all of her contact info, or at least the one that I've captured. How I've built the plan is you'll always have what day is associated with the lead at the beginning. So this is actually the day 1 call task. Why is that important? I need to know how long you've been in my lead funnel. Day 1, it's a different story than day 210.
Yeah.
And I'll always put some kind of a either a tip or some kind of a talking point is what I like to say. This one is just call 3 times and leave a message on the 3rd attempt. That is, if you were to ask Josh specifically, like how do you guys follow up with leads? We always call them 3 times on the first day that they're in our funnel. And we leave a message on the 3rd attempt.
Now, if they answer on the first time, right? Mm-hmm. Because we talked a lot about we're going to call 5 times. We're probably not going to get them until the 5th or 12th time. Do we continue this plan if they answer the first time, or what agents do?
Yeah, so it depends on, and I'm going to have like Jordan chime in on kind of like a real world, because their team is, every team's different, but teams also have their own, I guess, models and systems. But I would say that if that conversation leads to, oh, I'm so glad you called. Yes, I do want to go see 1234 Main Street. And no, I do not have an agent. They're not on this plan after today. Right. I'm going to meeting with them. I'm putting them on my normal like sphere touch plans, 36 touch plans. That's the day that it ends.
Yeah. A common mistake I see agents make is like they'll have a follow-up email that says, hey, I tried to reach you and wasn't able to get in touch, that automates, and they already talked to them. And now you just look like an idiot, right? So just be mindful of whatever your plan is, know what you're sending, right? So I know you're set it and forget it, Kimber, with your plans. And I love that. Agents should still at least look at it, right? Get a sense of what's in there so that they know what's going on.
For sure.
Amen. I was just going to say, you've got to know what your plan is so that you don't look like an idiot. Because if I talk to them on the first call and I convert that lead, I don't want to continue to try and cement that relationship with the 10 days of pain, saying, hey, right, I'm trying to get a hold of you. I'm trying to get a hold of you. Like, we're talking. What do you need?
Well, and one of the most brilliant things I heard about the 10 days of pain that kind of changed it is your 8x8 is to create mind share. That's not what the 10 days of pain is. So what the 10 days of pain is to actually get in touch with them, right? Actually go from a marketing relationship to a conversational relationship. And that can happen on the first touch. I know agents who will actually go from a 10 days of pain and then be like, oh, cool, I'm going to send you some additional information, and immediately put them on an 8x8 before they put them into that 36 touch, right? So that they then do that mind share creation so that they are not forgotten about.
For sure. And the 10 days of pain, in my mind, the goal is to add enough pain and pressure that I can get in touch with that lead.
Yeah.
Once they've given me what I'm trying to get out of that, I don't want to continue to add pain.
No, you can't make it so painful they ask you to never call them again.
You're like,
quit twisting their arm.
10 days of pain.
Yeah, quit twisting their arm once they've given you the answer.
Yeah. So here's some examples of emails that get incorporated in that long-term follow-up plan. So that the one on the left, your home search begins, that's the email that goes out the second that you add them to the plan. They also get a text the second you add them to the plan, and you get a task to call them on that first day. So the middle one and the other one to the right where it says VIP buyer program, the thing that I will just say about stuff like this, so obviously these were branded to their team specifically and Josh gave me permission to use all of this. But what is so cool about this is agents underestimate how valuable people will think some of this stuff is that seems obvious. So as an agent, it seems, okay, of course I can meet with you on Zoom. I can send you your favorites from my house. I can walk through a house and not have you be with me. You can electronically sign via DocuSign. Like, earnest money can happen through an app, like, and the title company can show up at your house. Like, well, of course that can happen. We don't have to use that. But is that a value piece that you can deliver in this plan of trying to capture this specific lead? Yes. But is it something we maybe initially think is so valuable? No. We think it's just part of the process.
My absolute favorite story an agent told me was that they lost a listing, right? Because the other agents said they would put it on the MLS and they didn't specifically say that. Right. And so sometimes it's we assume that people are going to know. Now, some of these are obviously maybe a little more niche, but and yet a lot of us are doing this today. But some of the things that we don't say that we just assume people know we do are the things that can cause us to lose business because we didn't actually say it.
Correct.
Well, and I think it's important, ask that question, right? So when you're meeting with somebody, ask the question, what have I not talked about that you're hoping I will do in order to get your home sold or in order to help you purchase a home?
Yep.
Jordan, does Red Sign team have some type of VIP buyer program that you've branded as such or call it something?
Yes, we call it the See It First program.
Okay, tell me what that entails.
So it's all about helping our clients see it first, be the first one in the door, the first one to make an offer and find properties and often get under contract on properties before they hit the market. All it requires of you is to come meet with me in my office for 30 minutes so I know exactly what you're looking for and know when to send you the right properties.
That's a well-scripted response there. I love that.
And a perfect example of something that, gosh, I hope if I hire an agent, they get my offer in. And I hope I get to see the house first or real quick. But Red Sign team has turned it into, okay, like I'm showing this as a value proposition. I'm also intentionally using it to set an appointment.
Yeah, it's simple and often it's a hot sheet or an e-alert, and I'm scrubbing the properties that my team is listing. But I can't tell you how many times I've put a deal under contract by texting one of my fellow agents on my team and going, hey, I've got a buyer. I'll write you an offer for $7,000 over list price if you'll just give it to us today. We stopped that listing from going to, I got it for my buyers instead of it going to the market and ending up $35,000 over asking.
Yes. So just brought up that as an example. This is part of that drip of the things that we do that are valuable as agents. We need to tell our story a little bit better, especially when we're trying to convert a lead or even with our clients. That's kind of the takeaway on that. I was just checking time really quick. Anything else in this pause when we talk about have meds?
It's all you.
It's all me. Okay. So again, that long-term plan can kind of funnel into an 8x8 specific thing, but 8x8 is about building relationship, winning the real estate mindshare battle. This is a plan that's available. Honestly, there's great plans. If you search 8x8, there's other plans that people have published. The endorsement on mine is always just going to be that I make it so that you don't have to edit anything. And sometimes people like to edit stuff. So
what are some things you put in your plans? I see 2 to 4 calls. Are the rest emails, text messages? Do you send something in the mail?
I think there's 1 or 2 text messages. The rest are just emails. And really the emails are focused most on familiarizing that person of why you hire a real estate agent. So I probably, obviously, because I'm also trying to make these a little bit more generic, it's that 30,000 foot view of why you should hire a real estate agent. Like why being in relationship with a realtor is a good idea. If you don't use my plan, though, it's a great model for you to go, okay, I can go customize my own with the same model, the same frequency, the same verbiage, but make it the red sign team, right? Like really brand it to yourself. It's just more generic than I would probably lean to. Like if someone just come to me and like customize it, obviously I'm going to want my brand out front.
Yeah.
But this is also, if you're needing to cement the relationship with a lot of people, go add people right now. Like you can create later. But a lot of times people put all of this on the back burner and don't just like go add people to this right now.
I see this as buyer focused. I'm assuming you have a seller focused one as well. Do you have anything else?
Oh, do you have anything else for me?
No, well,
yeah, no, I get it. I'm totally.
I know sometimes you meet people who are like, you want to be in relationship on real estate, and yet they're not necessarily looking to do business right now. So that's the reason why I ask, right? Some people like an additional plan for that. Some people just send them the seller or the buyer one.
So I'm glad that you asked that. Really, if you took the long-term follow-up plan, there is a lot you can do as far as tweaking that with frequency, with messaging. Like you would have a perfect framework for how often you want to follow up with them. However, a question that was asked to me a lot in the last 60 days, and so I asked this just today because we taught a very similar class today in our office. I asked Josh, okay, so every agent that's sitting in this class going, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I have this like plan now to put people on, but I have this like old lead list that I didn't follow up with, that I did spend money on. What does that look like with following up with them? You can kind of go take the long-term plan and tweak it to fit you. So a lot of those emails are going to be valuable. It's just maybe you want to remove some of those texts and calls that are so high volume at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you have all of the content already. You're just going to change how often stuff goes out, when it goes out.
Yeah, there's a company, I forget the company's name, but they do this thing called the database reset for you.
Okay.
And you could easily do this with command, which is honestly the whole thing is get everybody you have and put them on some type of plan. And if they want to opt out, they'll opt out, right? It's that simple. It's just start them on something. And if they don't want to do business with you, they'll tell you.
Correct. He said specifically in that example, right? Like I have this old lead list. He goes, yep, that's normal, right? We've all had it. He goes, one time we went and followed up with old leads that we had not contacted. And we just had that quick conversation with them. Like, hey, he goes, okay, guys, I have this compelling script. You ready? And he's just like, hey, so-and-so, did you buy a house yet? Or have you bought a house yet?
Yep.
And they just go, yeah or no. And then there's your segue. So you're kind of just qualifying that old list. And he said from that list or that one time that it happened, 30% of them had bought a house. And that's kind of a nice dagger for us to go, oh, okay, we're not going to let that happen again. But he's like, I tell you that to say that even my team, that I hold high standards and I feel like we are great at follow-up. This is real estate. Things happen, systems change, and systems don't get followed. So
my office did a call night, and one of the mega teams here basically had a box of those old leads, right? They were open house leads, scrap leads, drunk drawer leads, whatever you call them. And at that point, and she was just like, you can pay me a referral if you get something from it, but take anything you want from this box. And agents, I was doing it. We were just calling them, and we used exactly that script, which is, hey, have you bought a house? Right? The toughest question that I didn't know how to answer, and maybe you can give me a tip from that if you're using somebody else's leads, is like, how do I know you? Right? I got that once. Didn't know how to respond, mucked it up. You got an answer. I'm waiting for it.
Your name came across my desk as someone who was in the market to purchase a home.
Love that. Love that. So I guess the takeaway there is, if you do have somebody in your office who you know does a lot of business and maybe is not following up with anything, ask them, like offer them something. They're not going to make money off of that anyway. Maybe they'll let you call into that junk database because they think it's junk anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a huge opportunity, and I know that there's been at least 2 people in each of the classes of more than 50 people that I've taught for this specific subject. So there's your numbers. I know that you guys have agents in your office that are, or you're the agent that you're like, yes, I do have that list. I will go call them right now.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So what are we looking at now?
Yeah. So this is just kind of the refresher for have mets. You've talked to them, like you said, you asked, like they've called you, they said they want to go see the house. They're now in your sphere. This is just the 36 touch, like the plan that I follow. 26 biweekly emails, 4 calls once a quarter. For mailers, and at least 2. Most people I know do more, 2 events a year, and there's your 36 touches. And that doesn't count any social media touches, which we're really intentional about too.
So a couple of questions here. You're only doing a quarterly mailer. That's it?
I'm only doing 4 mailers a year. Yeah.
Okay. Why? I'm just curious.
This is just the traditional 36 touch that I've always followed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, where everybody follows a different kind of slightly different numbers. So, and your 26 emails, so that's biweekly. So how are you setting that up?
Yeah. So, the plan that I have on the Smart Plan library is just an email that is once a month. That's real estate specific content. It doesn't have to be in a specific market, and it doesn't have to be activated at a certain time of the year. So this was huge, very valuable. We just had a top producer come over. She moved here from California. And so her entire database is full of people in California. And so she does not have to stop her touches going out just because she lives in Utah now. Like, she can still market to those people. They can call her. She can get a referral fee off of, them buying or selling. And then the other email that I send on a monthly basis is market specific content. So I post a UAR, which is Utah Association of Realtors. And then I also post an NAR one every month on the 28th of every month. And that's just so you guys have the content for that. That being said, if you don't like the format of the one I post, or you're like, I want more detail in mine, my advice to you is to send your database monthly market snapshots in some way once a month. You're a hyper local real estate agent. You're professional. You're the one that's providing them information on the market. And that is going to get a high open rate right now.
Okay.
You being the information for that.
And so you're not using the monthly neighborhood nurture, right? You're using your own content here. What if agents want to use monthly neighborhood nurture instead?
Then I would just incorporate that, right? So be intentional. There's going to be agents that say it doesn't matter, and I'm too analytical to say it doesn't matter. Where I say it does matter is that I worry about an unsubscribe, which you're going to get anyways, even if everything's perfect. But right. I can be more intentional about unsubscribes if I'm separating those I'm separating the emails. They're getting them every 13 days versus, I send one on the 1st and I send one on the 5th.
Right.
So how I'm activating those would be the smart plans work that they fire every 30 days, right? Like that monthly neighborhood nurture is going to fire every 30 days.
Right.
The emails that I put out there, if you go add your database to them, they're going to send an email, delay 30 days, and then send another one.
Right.
So you just want to be intentional about what time of the month you put them on each one. If you're like me and a little bit more OCD about things going out when you want them to go out.
Yeah. And I think agents should be, because there's nothing worse than getting 2 emails in one day from somebody, especially, if it's marketing. So, yeah.
And on top of that, you lose some of the value, right? If you hear from me twice in one day and then don't hear from me for 30 days versus you hear from me every 15 days, I'm losing I'm losing ground on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they're not even always opening them. Sometimes they're just seeing your name come across. They might delete the email, archive the email, do whatever, but your name was in front of them. And that's the end result that we want.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm wanting to send this email so that I'm top of mind every 13 days. I wish that I thought like my content was making a difference, or even though I just went on a soapbox about how it's important for us to give that market data. At the same time, it also doesn't matter. It's not really about the content. It's about the frequency of it.
Well, and I always think about it from the DISC standpoint, which is, your high Ds, your high Is are going to want the attention. Your high Ds are going to look at it for 30 seconds and move on. It comes down to, like, do you want to catch those Cs? And if you want to catch the Cs, your content has to be accurate. If you want to just capture your DI and S's, you could be a little less and just forget about those C's. They're accountants anyway who wants to work with them,
Yeah. So that's and then by itself, those emails are not, they could, but they're not going to make the difference, right? It's the emails on top of the fact that, you invited them to your client event and you called them and asked how they were doing and how everything is and how's the family, those kind of things. So the last thing is just, again, this is part of the 36 touch. This is what I tell agents to use, this system.
Yep.
DTD2, based on the alphabet, calling 2 letters a week. It's why I like it is it's easy to create your own system around it. I just create a Google Calendar reminder that shows across my calendar, and I have it recurring, and that's easy for me to just filter that tag in command, and then that's who I'm calling.
Yep.
It makes it so that I do it versus I have a bunch of call task reminders that floods my tasks. And then now I don't use my tasks for very important things like what I just went through, following up with XYZ leads that I've put on follow-up plans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jordan, how do you guys reach out to your calls, like your SOI contacts?
Same exact system, DTD2.
Yeah. Cool. So another big takeaway, and Jordan can expand on this because his team meetings, like every week, they're talking about this at a high level. Like, we are prospecting-based marketing enhanced. That gets repeated multiple times, and it should be what's going through our head and what's on the reel, right? Sometimes I think we get off base with that.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to be prospecting based. And to me, that's really, you're going to have a hard time beating a touch that is face-to-face or voice-to-voice conversation. I'm going to remember a lot more and think of you a lot more when I'm consistently in front of you and you're adding value to my life. Your email in my inbox is very easy to miss. Your mailer in my mailbox will maybe get seen once every 3 months when I go check the mail. But the in-person and the voice-to-voice or even texting conversations where I'm asking questions and actively engaging, no marketing can beat that.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's just walking you through the lead process, all the plans that are available. Those are all in the Smart Plan Library. So you can go download them today. tweak them as much as you want. The content loads into your designs, like all those emails load into your designs.
Yeah, I love that. So even if agents don't want to use the smart plan and want to use campaigns, which I know some agents do, once you download Kimber smart plans, you have all of that great content. And you can use it in other plans. You can use it for campaigns. It's really fantastic. So
yeah,
cool.
I would just say, remember, slow down to speed up. So sometimes it's helpful. It seems daunting, but slow down, download these smart plans, implement them in your business, and watch how much more business you do the next 12 months.
Yeah. And here's the other thing I would say to that is I saw so many agents who don't send anything because it's not exactly what they want to send, which I get this. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, if you're not sending anything, like at that point, you're being forgotten, right? So send something until you get to the point where you have enough transactions that you can hire that person. You can hire the Kimber to do this, make one specific for you, where now you can do it. But you're not going to get there if you're spending all your time in designs or Canva crafting the perfect email that you're not going to send because it was never perfect anyway.
Just do it, then do it better.
Yes. That is good. That's the quote for the day.
It was like your brain just blew up. I think we just watched that happen.
Well, it was like Nike, and then it was like, and then do it better. But Josh brought up a quote I had written from a previous class on my board today. It said something about like, and now I can't even remember the whole context of the quote, but it was something similar to that. And then at the end, he's like, and then maybe just do better. And I was like, oh gosh. But that really made me think about it. It's like, he's asking a whole room, do you guys follow up with leads? Do you call people more than once? 2 people raise their hand. Do you guys get past 6 months of follow-up for leads? Nobody raises their hand. Like, we can all do better. And we probably are all feeling a little bit of a shift to maybe, or not even to maybe, to be really more intentional about our like lead spend. If we're spending that money, we always should have been holding it accountable, but it feels almost a little bit more important right now, you know? Well, and that's
I do think it also goes back to that, what's the cost per lead? Because I think sometimes what we forget is a $2 lead. We're like, it's a $2 lead, I can let that one go, versus this lead that cost me $5,000. I can't let that go, right? I have to work this one. It was so expensive. So we get into this mindset where we gravitate towards the things that cost us more money because we're afraid of losing that money. And at the same time, we're going to have to keep spending that if we don't work on those cheap leads. I was out of camera on that. Wait, hold on. Cheap leads.
I'm just seeing my screen.
Oh, you didn't see me do this? Here, I did air quotations like over here.
Hold on.
I can we're gonna go. Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh.
Well, just stop sharing my screen. Okay, now we're back. Sorry, I wanted to stare at your faces. I haven't been doing that. So yeah.
That was that. Now for me, that's the quote of the day. I just wanted to stare at your faces. All right. So now we've reached the portion where we're completely off the rails, as we do every single show.
Hey, but we kept this plane at 30,000 feet. There was very little turbulence.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say. We should just end it. Kimber, what is
Jordan's the script master.
Takeaways. What did you learn today? I don't know. Let's land this plane.
Land it, Jordan.
Land it with what?
I don't know.
Go take action. Go implement and do something, because a perfect plan not executed will get you nowhere.
Do better.
Just do it and then do better. I like that one. Mine, go get an Apple Watch. Like, that was Kimber's quote of the day. Don't bother with Android. Go get an Apple Watch.
That is not what I said. However, the new bracelet bands, those are a thing.
Oh, the braided ones? They're great.
Oh, they're like bracelet. So they're just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went with the red.
Oh.
I'm not that cool. I just still have the old one.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Okay, now this is turning into a fashion show. So
Yeah. Okay. Who do we have next week?
we have, I mean, Hallie and Chad, they are both regional ambassadors for land in their areas. They're just going to talk about land. And like Joe said, there's going to be some segue into command, and we don't know. So we're excited.
You just buy dirt.
Bye, Dirt.
Bye.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, Kimber. Thank you so much, Jordan. Remind people where you're from, how they can contact you if they want to, because we want them to send you all the referrals.
All the referrals. I'm Jordan Larsen. I am from the Utah region in the Salt Lake City metro area. You can email me at jordan@redsign.com.
Cool. And for those people who don't want to send Jordan those referrals, of course, you have Kimber. You guys can fight over them, though.
I love that he said Salt Lake City Metro like he's not in Utah County. He's like not owning Utah County on this call, but I just want you guys to know that he's.
So I guess anything not in Salt Lake Metro goes to Kimber then. So
I mean, he probably works in Salt Lake County, but I don't cross the border of Utah County unless there's a regional meeting.
Kimber, you can have all the Tooele leads.
Absolutely not.
And now I think we're in the inside joke portion of the show. So cool. My name's Joe McHugh. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week we will be doing land. We think, because it was postponed, with Chad and Hallie, and that'll be fun.
It will.